Stick until the end of this story because this could happen to anyone. I let my best friend move into my house, but I had no idea she was going to be my worst nightmare. By the time I realized the truth, it was almost too late. I had known Megan for more than 25 years. We weren't related by blood, but we were just as sisters. She was there for me through everything. My wedding, the birth of my daughter Emily, and even when my husband left me for another woman. Megan never judged, never hesitated to hold me when I cried. She was that one person in my life I could go to when everything was falling apart for me. Little did I know she was more than the devil. When I needed help after a car accident left me with a broken leg, I didn't hesitate to ask her to move in with us. As I said, she was like a sister to me. She took care of everything, cooking, cleaning, even driving Emily to school. At first, she was a lifesaver, I must admit that. Then after a while, small things started to feel off. Emily, my sweet 16-year-old, started acting strangely around Megan. She became withdrawn, avoided eye contact, and barely spoke when Megan was in the room. I assumed it was just teenage mood swings, but something about her silence made me uneasy. Then, there was my health. Even after my leg healed, I still felt exhausted all the time. My limbs ached, my vision blurred, and my hair started falling out. Doctors ran every test imaginable, but everything came back to normal. Megan wasn't happy as my life was restored. She wanted me death. One night, as I was dozing off on the couch, I heard Megan and Emily talking in hushed voices in the kitchen. "You don't have to be scared," Megan murmured. "Soon, it will just be us, me and you." My heart stopped. Emily's voice was barely a whisper. "I don't want this, Megan. Please, just leave us alone." There was a pause, then Megan's voice dropped to something colder. "You don't have a choice, sweetheart." I felt sick. I wanted to jump up and confront her, but my body was weak. I pretended to be asleep when Megan walked past me, her face eerily calm. She tucked me in like a child, brushing my hair backward. "You don't have to worry about anything anymore. Soon you will sleep forever," she whispered. That was the moment I knew something was wrong. The next day, while Megan was out, Emily ran into my room terrified. "Mom, you have to get away from her," she begged, her eyes red from crying. "What's going on?" I asked. She hesitated, then pulled out a small dark bottle from under her hoodie. "I found this in the kitchen. Megan's been putting it in your tea." I took it from her with shaking hands. The label was in another language, but the warning symbols were clear and toxic. Emily's hands clenched into fists. "She wants you gone, Mom." I wanted to deny it, but deep down I already knew the truth. That evening, I didn't drink the tea she served me with. Instead, I pretended to, watching Megan's expression closely. She smiled when I took a sip, but when I didn't finish it, she insisted that I should finish it, which I told her I will, but I needed more milk. Walking to the kitchen, I pour the tea into the sink and wash it away, panicking and wondering why my best friend, who I have known for more than 25 years, would want me death. The next day, she dropped off my daughter at school. I sneak into her room, went into her dowry, and discover how she was determined to destroy me naturally, or through some mystical powers from the underworld. She was responsible for the accident I had. Her reason was, throughout all the years, I've been that one person who always get what I want. Life has always been favorable for me. My life in order. A good job at the time. Got married. Had kids. Even though my husband later divorced me. She was away from her family. Was never married. No job and no kids. And with all this, she got jealous of me and wanted me out from this world. After seeing all this, I wept why I ever knew her as friend. Before we continue, kindly support the channel by subscribing and telling us where you're watching from. Thank you. I called the police and explained everything to them. They took the bottle for testing, and when the results came back, it confirmed our worst fears. The substance was a slow-acting poison, something that would have made my death look natural. Megan was arrested that night. As they took her away in handcuffs, she turned to me and smiled. "You would have ruined her, just like you ruined your husband. Even as I'm arrested, you will never be free. I was just trying to save Emily." I felt cold all over me. After that, it took months to rebuild our lives. Emily finally told me that Megan had been manipulating her for years, making her believe that I was unfit to be a mother. She had slowly poisoned her mind to believe that her father left because of me, all so she could take Emily away from me. You know the scariest part? If Emily hadn't found that bottle, I might not have been here to tell this story. I'm not free, as she said. Megan ruined my life. I can't close my eyes at night without seeing Megan's face smiling. For weeks after Megan's arrest, I couldn't handle the trauma. The words kept lingering on my mind. You will never be free. At night, when the house is silent, I would wake up feeling like someone is watching me. Emily wasn't doing much better. She could barely speak about what happened, but I could see it in her eyes, that the fear never left. Then the phone calls started with paranormal activities and forces of the underworld. The first time, it was just breathing, slow, steady, no words. I hung up immediately. The second time, a whisper, "You should have let me take her." I slammed the phone down so hard I thought it would break. It had to be a sick joke. Maybe Megan had someone on the outside messing with us. I called the police, but they assured me Megan was still locked up. Probably just a prank, the officer said. But deep down, I knew. Megan wasn't done with us. And things started moving. Small things at first. A picture frame turned face down. A cup missing from the cupboard only to reappear in the fridge. Things I really can't explain. Until one night I woke up gasping for air. It felt like something was sitting on my chest, pressing me into the mattress. I thrashed, my hands clawing at the darkness until I managed to flip on the lamp. There was nothing there, just the sound of my own ragged breathing. But when I turned my head to the nightstand, my blood ran cold. A cup of tea, still warm. I hadn't made tea that night. I grabbed Emily, and we left the house that very night, checking into a hotel. I didn't care how ridiculous it sounded. I knew what I felt. Megan was still with us with her paranormal activities. The next morning, my phone buzzed. A blocked number, a text message. "You can't keep her from me." I stared at the screen, my whole body shaking. Megan was in prison. She had no phone, no access to me. So how was she still here? How was she still watching us? I wanted to believe it was over, that Megan was gone, that she couldn't hurt us anymore. But the messages didn't stop. Neither did the strange occurrences in the house. I woke up to footsteps outside my bedroom door, the faint creak of someone stepping too close. But every time I checked, no one was there. And the worst part? That cup of tea kept appearing every single night from nowhere, and each time I see it, it gets so scared. I packed our bags, called a locksmith, and had every single lock in the house changed. Then I contacted the prison just to put my mind at ease. "Are you sure Megan is still there?" I asked the officer. "Ma'am," he sighed, "we've been through this. She hasn't left. She can't contact you. You need to move on." Move on? But how do you move on when you feel like someone's still in your house? That night, I set up a hidden camera in my kitchen. I wasn't crazy. I needed proof. The next morning, my stomach dropped as I reviewed the footage. At exactly 3:13 a.m., the camera caught movement. The kitchen lights flickered. The chair at the table pulled out by itself. And then, a hand appeared in the frame. Pale, bony fingers. Slowly, methodically, they placed a steaming cup of tea on the table. But there was no body attached to the hand. Just the hand, before it disappeared into thin air. My breath hitched. My skin went cold. This wasn't just paranoia. This wasn't a prank. Megan hadn't just wanted Emily. She had left something behind. And it was still here. I couldn't stay in that house another night. I called a priest to perform some sort of cleansing. After an intense cleansing, every room was blessed. I finally got the courage to burn Megan's old belongings that she left behind. The nightmares stopped. The whispers faded. The cup of tea never appeared again. But I learned a lesson I would never forget. Not everyone who comes into your home comes with good intentions. Some people bring more than just baggage. They bring darkness. And some never leave. If you ever invite someone into your home, watch for the signs. Because by the time you realize something is wrong, it might be too late. Subscribe for more horror stories.